Greetings. Tonight, we're going to speak on, briefly, of course, yin and yang energy, covering our sexual lesson that we kind of continued off from yesterday. So, you have yin based energy, which is essentially internal energy, energy that's created from within that you can send out. You have yang based energy, that's external energy that you a lot of times gain from the outside world, but you can actually channel this energy back into the self. But before you get into yin and yang energy, there's other forms of energy before the yin and yang energy is created. That's what makes it so interesting. And there is, when you talk about sexuality, two components that a person must research to figure out their sexual character, of which there's three different characters in this episode that we can speak on as far as your sexual character. But let's go into the two components that determine yin and yang energy. Now, there's a part of yin and yang energy that is always innocent, that is always intuitive, that is always inquiring about something, trying to figure out something naturally, from a innocent state, not, from a devious or treacherous state. So it's always that innocent part. Even as the sexual experience, this goes for the same thing. That gets interesting because this goes into your sexual character. This is how you determine and pick the right partner, knowing your nature and who you are. So there's the innocent part, that many of us have. And then there's also going into a feminine aspect. Before you get into any yin and yang based energy, it all has a feminine, that's right. I don't care if you're male or female. It has a feminine part. Sex is feminine. It's not masculine, period. And masculine sex is actually uh, came from Sirius. The form of masculine sex that you know is actually rape, and that's the form of sex that most of the time that's the form of sex people engage in unconsciously, not even knowing it. They're not engaging in a true form of sex. They're engaging in a rape. For one thing, a real true sexual experience should last up to 3 hours at least, or more, a minimum of an hour. A true sexual experience will last up to an hour, and it's not a rape. There's different processes. It's a ritual, actually. Sex is a ritual, true sex. So there's a feminine part of that. Sex is feminine that goes into the yin or yang energy, depending on which energy you have. There's a feminine part of yin energy and a feminine part of yang energy, believe it or not. Like, people don't know that. So these two separate components make yin and yang energy, yin based energy and yang based energy. You have to have a certain amount of innocence and a certain amount of a feminine component to form yin or yang energy. And this goes into the kundalini as well, because of course yin and yang energy is what's going to take you, that's the energies you need to take you up and down your kundalini, or what they call Jacob's ladder, which is the kundalini, believe it or not. So you have yin and yang energy. Now there's three characters. That's going back into what we were talking about. Then I'll shut down. That you kind of like can identify on this episode. I mean, there's different sexual characters according to your zodiac sign too, as well. But on this episode, the way I'm speaking on it, this is talking about straight energy, a relationship to your sexuality. So there's three characters in straight energy that you can be in the sexual experience. You have the innocent, which kind of goes into that same energy, but there's an innocent character in sexual experience, and the innocent character is, they say it's the marrying type, but it's deeper than that. Yeah, that's a part of it. The marrying type of sexuality that a lot of people are turned on about, that aspect of it. But the innocent is deeper in that, because the innocent can also go into the dark aspect of being activated through dark, like when I say dark, like more darker sexual positions. Because there's positions in sex. So they have like darker positions that are a little bit darker, and some positions are what you would call lighter with Christians and the way that we're supposedly taught. So like some innocence can be activated from darker sexual experiences, but still be innocent though in the experience, meaning that they're not seeking it out uncontrollably, only when, with the right partner, when activated. That's the innocent sexual character. Then you have what's called more of a, whether it's a male or female, more of a, it's feminine based. It's kind of sounding just like the energy, but it's like cycling around because these are characters. It's another sexual character that's feminine based, but it's more like what you would consider in this world homosexuality, but in some realities it manifests a little bit different from that. But essentially, there's the homosexual aspect of sexuality where some women get turned on by looking at their sex, and some men get turned on by looking at their sex, and a lot of that is incorporated into the pornography industry, believe it or not, because of the fact that a lot of people that are viewing both male and female and underlying getting turned on by the same sex, not even realizing it though. That's the feminine based energy, believe it or not. You like, well, I'm just getting turned on from the superior, the experience period, but in actuality, you may be getting turned on by the feminine aspect of it because of the fact that you're activated by your same sex, whether they're penetrating them, you know what I'm saying, whatever they're doing, you're activated by that. Just like there's some people that are more activated on the opposite end, and this will go into the last character by, for instance, they're activated, like a woman may be activated by looking at two men for whatever reason. And there's men that may be activated by looking at two women for whatever reason. And then that's another experience going into more of what you would consider lust. There's levels to that too. And then the rapes too, because then there's the women that like to be choked and, and then the men that like to be held down and shit and stuff like that. So that you have those different aspects of sexual character that go into what I would consider, this is called the lock. This is what's called the sex lock. This is a difference for, this is like the violent aspect of sex. Some people like that they're getting, some people get a little bit violent with sex and torture and sex and different cultures and stuff like that. This is called a sex lock, believe it or not, that aspect of sex. And that takes you to another component going into the Karma Sutra and other aspects of sex, of which we will hopefully cover in another time. So brief spill on the different characters and personalities. Which one are you? I do sexual readings, any kind of astrology readings. Feel free to call me for rates, or text me, excuse me. Text me, 513-304-8638. That's how I do everything. And feel free to support this movement and cause. We're making enlightening videos every day. Keep the mind sparked. We take straight up donations right now. That's how we do it, via our PayPal account, which is 13, the number, signs, plural, astrology, @gmail.com. That's our PayPal account. Strawman name Rasheen on that account, all capital letters. And as always, we thank you for listening and watching, and stay vigilant. Namaste.